Minutes past 8. Now, manufacturers of dangerous cladding are being chased for millions of pounds of taxpayers' money spent to fix unsafe flats. The Sunday Times has submitted evidence to the Housing Secretary, Michael Gove, revealing that some of the buildings that had applied for the government's £5.1 billion repair fund were covered in flammable cladding, produced by companies that made false claims about the safety of their products. Well, Martina Lees is senior property writer at the Times, and the Sunday Times is with us now. Morning, Martina.
Good morning.
So first of all, just explain to us what you have uncovered.
We found buildings covered in panels about which the manufacturers made false statements, and all of those buildings applied for taxpayers' help to take it off. None of those panels ever, the systems in which they were installed ever passed a fire test. So the product that I was looking at is called Kingspan K15 insulation. It's this type of insulation that was also on Grenfell Tower. And we know from the Grenfell inquiry that Kingspan sold that product, which became one of the most widely used types of insulation, for 9 years without a valid fire test. So the buildings we found, I submitted the evidence to the government, and then Michael Gove, the Housing Secretary, said that they would investigate the evidence we found, as well as all buildings, nearly 4,000 buildings that applied for government funding to take off cladding, to see where there's evidence that manufacturers are to blame so they can go after them and recoup the money.
One of the questions that immediately springs to mind is, why did the government give over taxpayers' money to make these safe? Why was there not a proper investigation to see that these manufacturers were actually liable in the first place?
Well, it has taken a very long time for the government to get their act together on making buildings safe. To date, they have spent only 17% of the money they promised. So the priority was partly to firstly fix the buildings and then get the money back. But I do think there is a very big question here. Why have they taken so long to go after the cladding manufacturers? It's been 3 years since the Grenfell inquiry uncovered evidence that manufacturers did actually make false statements about their products. Some in one case, they rigged fire tests. So, and this is part of the reason why these products ended up on thousands of buildings. So, and none of them have paid any money to fix flats. So the three companies, they're all massive multinationals whose products were on Grenfell Tower and whose products are on many other buildings. I went through their financial accounts, and they have paid no money basically to fix anything else.
Why? How are they able to get away with it?
No one has made them pay it. So Kingspan has recently said that they will pay for buildings where they are responsible for the inappropriate use of their product, and it can't be retained with, it can't be safely retained with subsequent tests. So, but they have not, we've yet to see significant amount of money. So, to date, the people who paid are taxpayers, some buildings, and in some cases, leaseholders have paid. Flat owners who bought those homes thinking they were safe.
And this is the point, isn't it? This is people's lives, people's lives potentially in danger, but also their lives being put on hold because they can't sell these flats. I know that you've spoken to lots of people. Just give us a sense of the stories that you've been hearing.
Well, in one of the buildings with Kingspan K15 on, the Jeans family, Tara and her, she had a little, they were 4 people. They still, at the time this started, they were 3 of them. Now they're 4. They're still stuck in a 1-bedroom flat. So, and another building, Priyanka Abbey, she bought a flat in the same building as her parents, and she had to choose who she's going to stay first, her son or her parents. These people's lives are still on hold after all this time. None of them are able to sell or move on.
Tell us about the campaign and the 5 steps in this plan that you're outlining today.
Well, we've worked with End Our Cladding Scandal campaign and Inside Housing magazine throughout campaigning on this subject. So what we want to see now is ways to make the people pay who are responsible for it, and to not keep getting away with it. We want to see grants that cover not just cladding but all safety defects. and to recoup the money from the full range of companies that have played a part in creating the scandal, not just developers. So to date, only 91% of the unsafe flats still remain unfixed. We also want to see the government release funding much faster and set a deadline for flats to have a plan to fix them within a year.
Martina, really good to speak to you this morning. Thank you for describing all that to us. That's Martina Lees, senior property writer at The Times and The Sunday Times. And anybody who listens regularly knows that I love it when The Times and the app, which I'm looking at right now, the scale of the cladding scandal, the total number of flats affected are 2.3 million flats. That's 4.2 million people. There are 1.5 million flats which are potentially unsellable. That's affecting 2.8 million people. And there are still 342,000 flats that are dangerous today, right now. That's affecting 635,000 people. People who can't go to sleep at night, who are worried constantly about their loved ones. And just 32,000 flats have been fixed. It's jam-packed with insightful information and advice and things for people who are affected by that. So do make sure, if you've got a digital subscription to The Times and The Sunday Times, read that piece by Martina Lees. Also Harry York involved in that. It's cladding giants chased for millions spent making flats safe.